ones on this side.
So, the way that you tell the difference between flounders is some will be right-eyed, some will be left-eyed. The way you tell is wherever their gills are facing, you face that down, and then their eyes will be on one side of the body. So if their eyes are on the right side of the body, they're called a right-eyed flounder, and if it's on their left side of the body, they're called a left-eyed flounder. So winter flounder are one of the right-eyed flounders that we'll find. A yellowtail flounder is also a right-eyed flounder that we'll find, and they're a little bit different.
There's no eyes.
A little bit different markings on them. They'll have a few yellow spots.
No eyes.
We'll show you how to tell them.
No, well, yeah, these are like...
The third kind of flounder that you might find,
They're bigger.
it's called a window pane flounder. It's a little bit wider. Actually, I'll show you one right here. These guys are called window pane, and as you can see, their gills are on the bottom, so they're left-eyed flounder, and they have sorry about that. Here goes the flounder. And they have these little white spots on them, so they're a little bit wider than winter flounder might be, and they have their eyes on the left. Sorry, did I scare you? I'm sorry. Yeah. So another thing about these guys, the way you hold them, as you saw, they kind of flip out of your hands sometimes. The way you want to hold them is kind of like a sandwich between your hands. Sometimes they even slip out that way. So if you want to pick them up, you can pick them up out of the water kind of like a plate, and then hold them with your hand like a sandwich so they can't slip out. And the way you measure these guys is you'll come over to the board, and you put the mouth at the tip of the board right where the one starts, and then you'll measure to the meaty part of their tail, the muscular part of their tail, because if you measure to the fins, you never know what happens to the fins. Sometimes they can get bitten off, sometimes they can get into a fight, so they'll lose part of this. So the part that you measure to, can you guys see, is called this part right here. It's called the caudal peduncle. I almost forgot the name. So it's that muscular part of the tail right there. So that's what you're going to measure to. So you're going to measure this guy, and again, as Nate said before, be as accurate as you can, because this is research that's going to a database later on, so we can tell what kind of animals are in here. So this guy is probably about, I'd say about 21.2 centimeters. So this guy's in centimeters, and what is the other one in? Do you guys remember what measurement the other one's in? A little bit smaller? This one's in centimeters, and the calipers are in millimeters. So just remember that when you're yelling out what you are. Alright, so everyone remember what kind of flounder this is? Yell it out if you know it. Well, the other one that Nate had was a window? Yes, it's a window pane flounder. It's left eye.
So this is winter, that's window pane.
This is the difference?
Right-eyed, left-eyed.
Alright, so another animal that you guys probably saw a lot of are skates. And there's two things that we want you guys to notice about the skates. Again, just like the flounder. We want to know how long they are, so we'll measure them the same way. And they have... There's three there. Nope, there's only one. And what these guys have... Well, actually, the reason that this guy... Do you guys all see these little claspers that they have underneath here? Can everybody see that? All these little things? These are called claspers, and only the male has them. So the male will have these little claspers, while the female will have none. They shall have none.
The female doesn't have any of these claspers.
So when you're measuring these guys, you write down whether they're male or female, so you'll be able to tell male because they have these little claspers, and female because it doesn't. And then you want to know how long it is. When you're measuring these guys, just be careful because they do have spines on them. So if you run your hand this way, you're okay, but if you run it the opposite way, that's the way their spines are pointing, so you don't want to do that because you'll probably get your hand pretty torn up. There's one more thing on the bottom. It's his mouth. This guy's a little squirmy. Probably some covering his eyes. There's a mouth, well, I'm not going to show you now because he's going to get away, but there's a mouth right underneath. It's kind of like a nutcracker, so you probably don't want to put your hand in there because it might give you a little scar. It would probably hurt if you put your finger in there. He won't intentionally bite you, but just be careful not to stick your finger in there because